Well, there you have it. I'm not just making that up. And then some of that light back a little bit. That was washed out. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a pretty fast one because we've got other stuff to do today. So I'm looking at it in relationship, and because it's pretty much the same size paper and everything, I can almost use the paper to help me get the lines right. So I'm going to find this line, this center line of the leaf coming down. I love the little arc of the stem. I'm going to exaggerate it slightly. Here it is. And you know what? When I look at it, I'd say the stem is a little less than half. So maybe right about here, I think is where the stem begins. And so I'm going to just thicken that stem a little bit. Okay, it's not that windy. I'm going to unwind it a little bit. And this is going to be the thickness. Don't let that stem get too thick. If it gets too thick, the whole thing starts to feel heavy. You've got to keep that stem the right. And then this is that line, the main line going up. And at the top, it does this lovely little tip up here. It comes down this way. It cuts in this way. It comes over to here. And let's start getting this bottom one in first. A little bit of a wavy gravy right here. And then it comes this way and a little dip that way. And then we got this main thing coming off this way. It too has a couple flip-flops. I love what the bottom does right there. It flips that way. And so just careful observation is going to be your best friend when it comes to these paintings. And up here, I should have gone wider much sooner. So I'm going to do that now. That's got to come all the way to there. And then this one starts up higher. And then it got that little crinkle right there. And then it comes down this way and over to this leaf. And just careful observation, honestly, is all that's required, but that's much easier said than done. So just keep looking, keep looking. And then this one's going to come like this. And this bent over when I pressed it in the book, so I'm going to just unflip it a little bit and let that come down and come that way. Yeah, that's close enough, guys. And then I'm going to just do a little bit. I can just eyeball the shadows when I get to that. That's what I'm going to do. All right, here we go. So this is going to be a faster version. So I'm just going to dive in. I'm diving into that pool of leaves. Here we go. I'm very close to sticking my brush in my tea. That's just not going to work. So we'll be careful about that. Let that steep over there, and here we go. I think we're going to be using a lot of the quinacridones and brighter colors because it's an autumn leaf. I mean, my gosh. And you know what I just put on my palette for the first time, and I've never even opened this tube of paint. I just did. It is Pyro Scarlet.
Wow.
And you know what's crazy about it? It's not scarlet at all. It's like a bright orange. So I'm going to start with that bright orange because I see a little bit of it on the leaf right here. Look at that. Scarlet. Pyro Scarlet. That's nothing scarlet about that. Somebody should write them a letter. Put them back on track at that company and say, don't you know what scarlet looks like? Might be me. I might be writing that angry letter about color to their company. And then this turns this way, and then guys, it gets a little bit redder pretty quickly. And so I'm going to use the now I'm using the correct pyro red, but I'm going to add a little bit of Quin. It's Quin, not magenta, maybe magenta. This might be what it is, but oh my gosh, yeah, that's the color. That's lovely. Get this little bit of a fold right here. Comes down this way. And then right away, so it's just one wet wash into another wet wash. Keep going, keep moving, and keep sliding downhill here. And here comes this yellow that I see over here. Right into the red. Let it touch that red. Mix them a little bit. That's what leaves do. I mean, this is what they do. So keep working it. And if you get some blooms in there and stuff, so what, man? This is what I'm gonna grab a bigger brush. I use a smaller brush for the edge and a bigger brush for the inside so that I can mix wet into wet. The other nice thing about the leaves is if you get a little too much yellow here, a little too much red there, what's somebody going to say? No, that red was, there was more red over on that side of the leaf. How do they know? So just do, you know, just if it's a little bit off, as long as it kind of feels like that leaf, that's really what we're shooting for. Does it feel like that leaf? And so just if you're accomplishing that, you're doing it right. I'm just going to soften that. We're going to come over here. We've got a little more yellow and green. Tip of this right here. I'm going to try to move a little faster. We're going to get you guys painting. Here we come. This is this yellow over on this edge. And then this is more of that delicious red in the middle here. Just going this way. I see a little bit of that red in here, here. And then it kind of does this really cool green ochre. Now here comes my yellow ochre, kind of a more subdued yellow over in this part of the leaf. Yeah. Lovely. And I'm going to drop in some olive green while I'm thinking of it, because I see it in a few different places. And this is olive green all through here. There's some olive green down. Ooh. Picked up some of that red. There's olive green down in here. There's olive green at the tip up here while it's still wet. I'm going to drop that in. I see little pieces of the olive green throughout that leaf, actually. On this tip, olive green. And more on the other side. And then we're going to work our way across. Here comes this beautiful yellow over here, this rich, rich, delicious yellow. I'll try to soften that edge where I started and stopped. That worked. This red coming through here. And then we get back into these great ochres and yellows over here. Mixed with the red. And over here, I can pull out my smaller brush for that one part. There's actually a little tip right there. This way. Wet into wet. Careful observation. Just keep looking. Just keep looking. And here's the other thing. Use a bigger brush than you think, because you'll tend to go too slow because there's so much to see in a single leaf. There's like a universe in there. So use a bigger brush. Force yourself. Otherwise, the painting will go too slow and you'll have all these stop and start spots that you really don't want. You got that. And then what happens underneath that leaf is interesting. It gets a little greener just underneath this little part that flips to the other side. Like that. And then again, I'm going to drop some olive green into here. Into those parts. And then I'm going to put in the red of the stem while they give those other things a chance to dry a little bit. It's actually got a lighter, more yellow part. So I'm going to do the whole thing and then I'll do the shadow on it after it's had a chance to dry a little bit. So this is the lighter red that I see in the stem. Keep the stem nice and thin. If it gets thick, the whole leaf gets heavy. And then down at the end of this stem, it turns to green, olive green. And then it'll need a little shadow once it has a chance to dry. All right, fantastic. Now, there's a couple things that have to happen I've got to get the shadow in and stuff like that, but I really need to start finding some of the shape and nuance of that leaf now. So what I'm going to do is hit it with a hair dryer. So prepare yourselves for the noise. Here it comes. All right. Okay. Is it starting to look a little like the leaf?
Mhm.
All right. Now notice, oh, where's that shadow coming from? Oh, this is my paper towel. So that is, I think it's looking quite a bit like it. It is, Fred. It looks fabulous. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So here comes the, I'm the one who said that, by the way, in case you didn't notice. I'll give myself the, are you people there? Can you hear me? Oh, you all have your mics off. I think that's it.
Of course.
Here comes the, that's what it was. You had your mics off because you were probably saying lovely things about the painting the entire way that I couldn't hear.
We always say lovely things about you.
Yeah, we were oohing and ahhing. It would have been so distracting.
I know. Well, here we go. So here I'm going to do some lifting. So I'm going to put a line of water down here. Right along the, because I see this gorgeous light right here along the center of the flower, leaf. It's almost like a flower. And then I'm going to lift that with a paper towel, a clean piece of paper towel. Yeah, it's not lifting really easily, so I'll hit it again. These colors must be a little staining. We'll just do it until it works. Yeah, better. And then I noticed that there's a few shadowy spots. We've also got to lift this one here. There's a line that goes all the way down here. And look where they all connect. They all connect right where the stem starts. This is where all these veins come to. I'll lift that out of there. So you start to get those little, the light catching a few different things. And then we're going to, it comes this way. There's also one that comes here. It's lighter though, so we'll just hint at this one. And then there's little ones that come off of this main one. We're just going to do a few of them. I'll let you decide how many you're going to include in yours because they can take a while. You want to keep moving here. And then there's a couple that come off of this side. Oh, the sun's coming out, so now it's brightening up. Whole thing's brightening up. So that's how we start to find those little, the nuances in there. Now let's find some of the shadows in the leaf itself. So in the leaf, I start to see a few different shadows, and we're going to mix just a little brown, a little bit of brown in there with it. And I'm going to be using a burnt sienna is what I think I'm seeing that's darkening the reds a little bit. And then we're going to start finding some of these shadows, like there's a shadow along this edge of this here, and it kind of continues up to about here. And then I'm going to soften this edge of it, the outside edge of the shadow. So it's really just you see how it's starting to take a little form?
Yeah.
The form starting to happen. I'm going to do a light wash, for example, over this yellow. It got a little too bright. So just do a little wash of a reddish color over that to just push it back just a little bit, to make it feel a bit more like the actual leaf. Blend it with the other colors, come down that way. I see that there is a little bit of a shadow here along these lines that I created. And over here, there's some reds coming up this way. There's a red right here coming through the center of this one right there. So we're starting to collect all the little things that we see in that leaf. And then a few more shadows. Let's get a few more shadows in there. And so on this side, we're not doing enough on this side. So we're going to start catching some of that. But I like what happens right here with this little bend right there. I'm going to find a few more of these veins that are in the leaf. That's a little too thick. Be careful about that. And then don't let the veins get too thick in here. They start to get clunky. Everything's got to sort of be the right thickness, or it starts something starts to change in your picture, then it stops feeling less like that thing. And so just keep looking, keep looking. So this side's doing okay. We're gonna move to the other side. Now the other side's fun. I mean, it's got this really fun kind of almost orangey line that starts up here and works its way all the way down once again to that point where all the veins show up. And then these, like this, I see one there, I see one there. There's this great line that comes all the way down to here on that one over on this side. And then, you know, I can just keep going and going. There's so much to see, but I want you guys to paint. So I'm gonna just finish this up. I'm gonna put a couple more, don't get too thick. And then, no, come on now. We talked about this, come on now. All right, and then that, and then, yeah, and then this has a couple little ones coming off of it, good. Now what the next part's pretty important are the shadows, right? So we can get a few more shadows in there. For example, on this one, I see a shadow, and I think I've done it once, but it wants it one more time right here, a little bit darker right there. And then we're going to find the shadow on the stem, and that shadow is going to be quite a bit darker. And here comes that shadow. So that shadow, this is all in shadow right here to there. I see a little bit of a dark tip right here. I'm going to get that in. So wherever I see the darkest things, they're going in. This tip is dark too, right here. This tip has got some darks on it right here. It's like really in the tip. I see a couple darker spots within the leaf itself there. I already got that one. There's one over here. So I'm hunting down all the darkest stuff, maybe a little darker there, a little darker. And then this side of the stem has got a shadow. And then it gets much darker over here. And then there's a little shadow right in here. Now, I'm gonna just do the last part and you're all gonna paint, but I'm gonna hit this real fast with the hair dryer. And now this is an important part, guys. If something has a shadow, it must exist. That's how shadows work, right? If something has a shadow, it must be there because it's casting a shadow. So that's important. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do the shadow around the leaf. And you're going to see how it all of a sudden starts to feel more believable, really. And so here comes, I think it's got, for mine, it's got a bit of a, oh, it's really interesting. So it's actually a little, the shadow's orangey blue deeper in there, reflecting the leaf itself. But then I'm going to come around with a little bit of a blue gray, a Payne's gray and a blue shadow around the farthest edge. And I got to keep that nice and soft in some spots. So, all right, I'm going in. I'm going in.
Okay.
Here it comes. So here comes that shadow right here. I'm going to lighten that. That's too much, but it's the right shape. That shadow's right there. And then this shadow comes here. Now watch this. It comes right off of here. And it wraps around this way. And I'm just going to simplify it, but it's going to do that. And while it's wet, I've got to take a little bit of this orangey yellow I have mixed, and it's going to go, and I want a slightly later version of it. And it's going to go into the shadow along this edge here, because this has got an orangey yellow thing that's coming through the leaf. Then I'm going to take a damp brush without any color on it. Where'd everybody go? Everybody's missing.
I need it for my art shadow.
And I'm just gonna soften this edge of this shadow. Got to do it. I'm gonna soften that edge. All right, and now I'm going to come in over here with this blue shadow over here. I'm going to start here. And it kind of disappears, and then it comes, and it really comes out quite far here. It comes here. So that's there. And then this one comes to here. Boy, that really comes out. And then down to here. like this. And then just that way. And once again, I'm going to put some orange along this inside edge and just mix that in. I'm going to turn this off, so sorry. And I'm going to soften this edge again. I'm going to soften this edge. This edge has to, you got to take that. It's really nice and soft. So just clear water, damp brush, not wet, or you'll start to create blooms in your shadow. And I'm going to soften this edge as well. It's a little sharper up here, but when it's starting right about here, it softens. And then we get a slightly darker blue down here. As you can see, this is, there's a lot to see. There's so much, there's a universe in there. And then down here, we've got the shadow coming this way. Oh, it's a funny little shadow. And it comes like this, and it comes, and this is, you know what's weird? Is it's slightly more purple. I don't know why. It is. And this way, and it comes all the way up to this right up here. Comes down this way. And then we're going to soften, and we'll keep going with that, and then we'll soften. And so this turns like this, and it's a weird shape right here, but that's what's there. And then it's also on the other side, and it kind of comes like this. It's got to be this thing right here. And then there's the shadow of the stem. Comes all the way down like this, and cast a shadow right here. And then again, you know, I've got to soften it. So again, I'm going to come up here. This one's a little sharper. I'm going to soften that edge. I'm going to soften this edge a lot. Really, very, very soft. And just a damp brush and pulling the color out a little bit. Softening this. Softening that. And then just a couple more shadows and done. So there's another little one right here. There's another little one right here. That one's pretty tight, actually. And this one comes this way. Does it look like it?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Kinda?
beautiful.
I think it's pretty fabulous. Come on now. Come on now.
It looks beautiful. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. That's what I was looking for. Was it like great?
Best leaf ever.
Great.
It looks better than the original.
Oh, shoot. That's what I was.
Only you can do it.
Well, I'm exhausted.
Oh, boy.
I'm just exhausted. Which is the real one? Huh? Which is the real one, huh?
Yeah, I know, really.
On the left.
Not the light on that one, but yeah. So I think you got it. So, all right. Is everybody ready to give this a try?
All right.
All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna stop this recording and